Hi guys, Dragonarther here, and today I've got a few things to share with you. This is sort of a deck profile plus some extra tips and tricks. But this isn't going to be a main deck profile at the moment. This is actually going to be my side deck profile. I really want to talk to you guys today about some things that. Whoops, that's not supposed to be there. Some things in the current meta which are just making life really hard for Noble Knights. And some cards that you can put in which will make your life 10 times easier. So let's get into it. As you can see, this is currently my sideboard. Now I changed a few things up. I recently just took out Phoenix Chain for Rivalry. With Angeli being out, this card has become the bane of Madolches. You play this, I was trying to think all day, literally all day, what I could do to stop Madolches. And then it wasn't until I was looking through some other decks that I realized, hey, this card stops the douches. I really hate Madolches. Madolches are the bane to Noble Knights, even more so than Harpies. This is the bane to Madolches. And for that reason, I have put these two in. Some things in here are a bit interchangeable. Personally, I like having Arf in here, a second Arf, for a couple of reasons. It's good against warrior type matchups. It's extremely good with DNA surgery and decks that you have to play DNA surgery against, like Bujins and machine decks and spellbooks, but you won't run Arf against spellbooks because they're very rarely going to have anything you can do to put it on. But the other reason is because I main 9 Noble Arms at the moment, and I really like the number 10 when it comes to Noble Arms. It just increases your chances of drawing it a hell of a lot more. So I was running 2 Galatons, it's down to 1, but I decided again today to run the second main off. Another card here is Divine Wrath. Now, I was considering running 2. I haven't thought of too many situations where I'd need to actually put it back in as 2. Hell, if the sideboard was 20 cards, I'd be really happy right now because I wouldn't have any problems with my sideboard. But there are a few cards I just couldn't fit in. At the moment, he's 1. This might be an extra MST, or it might be a Lance, or it could be Prohibition, or a Eradicator Epidemic Virus, but it is what it is. I'm going to get straight into some matchups for you guys to explain to you what cards to use against some really, really bad matchups that you're going to be against. The first isn't really a bad matchup, but it's also not your best matchup. Now, I almost don't even need to change anything because it literally is the top row. Bujins. I might as well get them out of the way so you guys can see. Alright, so, whoops. How to deal with Bujins. Debunk may or may not be run because it doesn't work well with Imperial Iron Wall. And there's some other cards in here that don't work well with each other. Like, you're probably not going to run Rivalry and DNA Surgery together because it just makes no sense making them all one type and saying you can only have one type. You can run Kaiser and Rivalry or Kaiser and DNA. It's fine. But yeah, Rivalry and DNA you wouldn't run together, and Imperial Iron Wall and Debunk you can decide to not run them together because they don't always work well out for you. But this is a must against Bujins. This is a must against Bujins because instead of them being Beast Warrior, you make them all Warrior types, and therefore you run Ardith. So you can weaken them. You'll get them back. You'll get that back on your monsters after you attack them and kill through, and its effect will go off. If you equip this to your opponent's Warrior type monster, you destroy one of their back row, it reduces attack by 500, then destroy the back row. And then it's probably going to be weak enough that you can ram into it with a Noble Knight. And then their monster will be destroyed. This will go to your grave and activate its effect, and it'll go back on your monster. That's why I say this works well with that. And that's why I like also running that as an extra sideboard. Soul Drain, obvious, you know, they're not going to activate in their shit. And Debunk is bloody annoying to them because they try to activate Sinew or Crane or Hare or Turtle. Debunk it. Imperial Iron Wall also stops you from being bottomless. You can't. Yeah, I'd take Karma Cut out for this because running Karma Cut and this together doesn't work. So that's not a good idea. That's another one. And let's pick that side. Yeah, they're not going to be able to do anything with their graveyard. And you can use this offensively. Like in a previous video, I was explaining what you can do with Lady of the Lake and this card. That you can keep summoning her out and just go and do that over and over and over. So this card is not only a defensive but also an offensive card. It works well. The only thing you can't really do is you can't use Ector's effect. You can't banish out Excalibur to rank up or rank down. But you probably won't have that problem because if you shut down the Bujins with this, you're probably not going to shut yourself down. This, however, I will note that Soul Drain stops a lot of your grave interaction. It'll stop your Gwen. It'll stop your Highland slot. It'll stop your Blackland slot. It'll stop your rank 5. This is a risky card to play in Noble Knights. I won't say that it's the most potent card against your opponent and least potent against you, but it does work very well. Next matchup is my all-time arch nemesis. Give me a moment to just get them out. It is Soul Drain. Either of and this. Alright. Sorry that took so long. And maybe Effect Valor. Your matchup is the ones you want straight up, Soul Drain and Rivalry. This is for Madolches. Soul Drain and Rivalry you want straight up. If you come up against Madolches, you chuck these in straight away. Now you get the choice of Kaiser if you're going first, Imperial Iron Wall, and or Debunk. I wouldn't put all these three together because it's going to use up too much space. You can put 2 lots, so 4 of these, so this and this, or this and this, or this and this together. Like I said before, these and these aren't the best together, so I probably wouldn't. This will stop Hootcake plays. This will stop everything they have until you can Soul Drain or Rivalry. And this will just, if you go first, it'll just slow them down. They'll probably end up killing it off in some way or other, but you know, you got to do something. I'd probably recommend Kaiser the most, at least if you get to go first. Otherwise, Debunk if you go second. Next matchup is Gearja. So, I have Kaiser, DNA Surgery, and Arfudator. I have Soul Drain. I think Soul Drain works against them. I'm not sure if they. Oh, Gidja and Machine. That's right. So this isn't just Gidja. This is also Machine decks in general. Um, and maybe Vela. Maybe. Um, Depends on what you want to do. It's your option. But I run Kaiser because if you get your first at least, or you can shut down their cards. They're good at getting cards back to their hand, but they can't do a lot during your turn. Most gears I've been up against aren't back row heavy, but you can still use ARF against them, purely because you're running the DNA surgery combo. Obviously against machines, even cybers, you want to run DNA surgery. You don't want your warriors to become not warriors and have ARF, Destiny, Gallatin, Caliburn all drop off, leaving you with only Gwen and Excalibur. You want to make sure you have that. The only problem is you can't really chain it to theirs and say yours, because then theirs will still resolve after yours, meaning they get their type. But nonetheless, it is something that you want to keep in mind. Kaiser, obviously, because you don't want them spamming out stuff. This is also very good against spam decks and Soul Drain for machines. Generally, you won't have a bad matchup against machine stuff, though. Next is Harpies. Now, I don't have a lot in here for Harpies. Really, I have the Karma Cut in main board, which, if you Karma Cut a Harpies Lady 1, 2, 3, or Cyber Harpy Lady, I think it was, and it goes off, you'll banish all of the rest of those that I just said as well. So if you Karma Cut a Harpy Lady 1, for example, you'll banish out from their grave all Harpies Lady 2, 1, just normal Harpy Lady, 3, and Cyber Harpy Lady. The only other cards I can think of are MST, because you don't, as Noble Knights, you do not want them getting their field spell out and go normal, pop, special, pop, pop. You want to get rid of that. So 3 MSTs is pretty much a must. You probably don't have to worry too much about Lance against them, but the MST, yeah. If you are wanting to run Phoenix Chains, which is one card that I took out before, Phoenix Chains, I guess you could also run Effect Valors, but that's kind of just to stop them from, big eyeing you and shit. You can run the Phoenix Chains, but over Phoenix Chain, Breakthrough Skill is probably a better option. But by far the best option would be Prohibition. I don't have Prohibitions. If I could run 20 cards in my side deck, that would be the first thing I'd be looking for, is Prohibitions. You play Prohib, you say Harpy Lady. Again, does the same as Karma Cut, whereas those cards will become ineffective. Karma Cut banishes it from the grave, but Prohibition means they can't even play them, except the ones they already have. But yeah, they're a bit of an annoying matchup if they get their field spell off, but otherwise, as long as you don't destroy your Excalibur, you won't have too much of a problem. The next is Mermails. This one I had a little bit of a problem against, but not a lot. So you got Soul Drain, Effect Valor, and Debunk. I don't like their... I guess you could... sorry, Soul Drain. I don't like them popping my back row. I don't have a lot of back row. I don't like them popping my Excalibur and then trying to take control of it with Silent Honor Arc or something. I don't like Marksman. I don't like Atlantean cards. Banish it. Don't let them have the chance. Don't let them use things from the grave. And I'd take out Karma Cut probably for Veilers. Or maybe not. Because I don't want them getting on summon effects. And I did have the Phoenix Chains in for them as well. but like I said, I took them out. I haven't seen too many Mermails players lately, but usually this should be enough for a sideboard against them. Chaos. Chaos piss me off because a big weakness for Noble Knights is if they can target your cards and get past Destiny, or not worry about having to attack you, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. Against Chaos, I run Imperial Iron Wall, Soul Drain, and Kaiser Colosseum. Chaos like to banish stuff, don't let them banish it. If they want to target and banish your cards, that's going to save you. Soul Drain, a lot of times when they send cards to the grave and use Kuriban and shit, that's going to stop that. And Colosseum, even if they can get a big guy out, usually it's not going to be enough because they want to destroy your stuff and target. So that works the best. Next is Spellbooks. So, with Spellbooks, I run Imperial Iron Wall because they're not going to be allowed to banish their cards to use. I think it's Fate banishes it. I'm not sure. I haven't versed them too much. I know one of my mates plays them, but I still don't really know what they do. I just know that they want to banish cards, and I don't want them doing that. Veiler. I can't remember why I said Veiler. Probably something to do with Blue Boy. I suppose. I can't remember. And, Debunk. Again, I can't remember why. Sorry that I can't remember. But, for whatever reason I've written this down. That seems to be the best thing I can do. There's really not a lot of other things in here which are going to help out. Oh wait, it's not Debunk I'm supposed to run. It's, ignore the Debunk. It's Rivalry. That's what I was supposed to write down. Rivalry. Because, you play Rivalry, you say Warriors, and then they don't have any spellcasters for Fate. So, they're going to have a hard time. Don't make it easy on them. That seems to work the best. So yeah. The next is players that run like fire and ice hands. They've been annoying. I'm not even going to go into trap tricks. Fire and ice hands. Run Soul Drain. Run Debunk. And run Kaiser because you just don't want them spamming out too much after they try to pop your shit. Debunk, you're going to get rid of their card, they're not going to pop anything and they're not going to summon the other one. Soul Drain, they're not be allowed to do that. And Kaiser, because they're probably running other stuff they want to spam out after you've got rid of the, 3 of each, ice hands and fire hands. So, that's going to do you good against them. Oh, the other thing I forgot to say about spellbooks is, again, I don't have it. If I could run 20 cards, I would, but I don't, and I'm not allowed to. Why, Konami? Why? It's Epidemic Eradicator Virus. Epidemic Eradicator Virus will just shut down, because you do have enough darks. If you put a Gallatin onto a Boars, it's a 2700 dark, which you can then, even next turn, you use this effect a second time, it's 25. Wait for their turn, wait for them to do something. You go, Eradicate a Virus. While he's still 25. Send him to the grave and say spells and boom. There goes their whole game. Again, a few noteworthy things I'd like to say is Prohibition is a very good card. Epidemic Eradicator Virus is a very good card. DNA Transplant, Fossil Dinar, Closed Forest is good. This is getting longer than I expected. I hope you guys are okay with a video that's probably going to be half an hour long. If not, I'll try to add things. I didn't think it'd be this long. I probably should split it up in two, but I doubt I'm going to do that now. Closed Forest is very good if you're not running Round Table. because it'll work against Madolches and Harpies. They can't, you know, they can't get their field spell out. It's going to protect you a bit. Fossil Dyna's good with Dristan if you have another level line up, because you can get your cards out. You play Fossil Dyna and Dristan, and they can't, because of Dristan's effect, they can't touch Dyna. They have to go through Dristan, then they have to go through Dyna before they can go through your boss monster. It just slows them down a lot. Phoenix Chain again, which I took out. An extra MST or Lances are good. Divine Wrath is good. And some very interesting cards I'd like to also add to the list are, like I said before, DNA Transplant and Shadow Imprisoning Mirror. Have some very interesting plays with this deck. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror will mean it's kind of a Gwen trick card running either of these two, because if you play Shadow Imprisoning Mirror on a Madrort when he's equipped, or a Boars when he's equipped, it'll negate their effects and they'll go back to being a 4 light whilst being equipped, which makes some pretty interesting things. It'll shut down your High Lancelot and your Ector, but if you're not running them, it's not much of a big deal. And it means you can get past a lot of dark cards, like Dark Worlds. But yeah, if you have Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, it also means that you can, if they try to Dark Hole, you can, and you've got a Gwen on a Madrort or something, you can play Shadow Imprisoning Mirror in response to a Dark Hole, make his effect negated, so he goes back to being a light level 4, and then Gwen will save him. So it's a pretty interesting play that you can make. And the same with DNA Transplant. I'll go more into it in my full deck profile, but DNA Transplant can work with the level 5s to make Constellar Pleiades. It also works well with the Gwen. It's a Gwen trick card, as I like to call it, where they go to destroy your monster because it's dark. You play DNA Transplant and you make it light. If they're attacking over, you can then Honest. Or if they're trying to destroy by Dark Hole or something, instead of using Honest, because you don't need to use it, if they try to destroy a Dark Hole, Gwen will save them. So it's kind of really funny the things that you can do with that. But that's something for another video. A couple more things that I want to go into are 2 cards that I've just recently added. Gun Diva is a card I have against Madolches, because this card is going to save your ass over and over and over. Because you get this out and you pass turn to the Madolches, and then they go Mewtwo and they go Angeli, and you gain Angeli, and they go, well, your turn. The other one is Khan Gorgon, Anti-Luminescent Knight. One, it's got a pretty awesome name. And 2, this card's very good because it's got a quick effect of redirecting targeting. Now, a lot of cards still say your opponent's cards. It's good against MST because you can redirect it to your opponent's cards. But there are some other cards that will say target one card your opponent controls, not just one card in the field. So you'll have to redirect it to your own, but there are times, like, if you have your boss card out and it's got no Excalibur on it, and they want to go into Silent Honor Arc, you can redirect their Silent Honor Arc into Khan Gorgon. Use him as a sacrificial lamb. You know, if they want to Big Eye your boss monster, put on the Khan Gorgon. I run this against decks that like Silent Honor Arc a lot, or people that I'm expecting them to play that, and against Big Eye and shit. Because really, he, at the end of the day, is really, really good in this deck. And so is Gundiva. They're two cards that I recently added in. This just came out, and this I didn't need in before because of Metolshays. But I do now, and they're extremely good. I know this is a long video, and hopefully I don't have any restrictions uploading it, but the last thing I'd like to go into is plays revolving around brothers. A couple of tips and tricks you can do. And Dristan. And cards are secret rare for a reason, guys. Like, they're not going to be secret rare because Konami, well, things like Rambo Creamo might be a different story. Or some secret rares are just jank. But other ones that are in a, in a themed deck properly, are probably like that for a reason. So, say this is your opening hand. Say that you've drawn into a second Gwen. This might not look like the best hand at the start. Say maybe it's not a Gwen or something else. You get a Lance. This would probably be a better idea. Normal summon Dristan, right? Leave him there. Probably will get killed off in the first turn. If he doesn't, you can start doing some interesting things. But before you end your turn, equip Arf onto him. He uses his effect to destroy Arf. Arf gets destroyed because his effect is mandatory, and puts Arf back onto him. Turn 2. They'll probably have set cards. Hopefully it's just one they can't do much against. Use Arf's effect to destroy the set card, make his attack 1300. Now this isn't always going to happen, this combo, but I'm just giving you guys as a quick example. Next, oh, sorry. I think I wanted to get is, before the ending turn, Gwen onto him. 1600 attack. Neg 5, plus 3. Alright. You gotta remember the correct plays here. Next turn. Normal summon brothers. Use his effect. Special summon Dristan. Alright. Put Queen onto the second Dristan. Use his effect to pop Arf, put Arf onto him. Use Arf's effect, pop a face down. You then have 1600 here, 1600 here, 1200 here. Because you have two Dristans, this is called the Dristan lock. Whereas they can't declare attacks on not Noble Knight. His effect is as long as you have another face-up Noble Knight monster. As long as you have another face-up Noble Knight monster, your opponent cannot target any monster, not just Noble Knights. Any monster, this is why Fossil Diner is good. Any monster with attacks or card effects. Now, the reason why I wanted to show you guys this particular setup is Dark Hole or Trinity Tribute will play a part in what's going to happen here. And what's going to happen is your opponent will try to Dark Hole or Trinity Tribute, and the two queens will save the Dristans, but unfortunately the brothers will die. But that's not the problem. The queens will say that, and then you'll be able to use the queen's effect to pop stuff again. But your opponent cannot attack him, or him. They cannot compulse any, they cannot target any, and you can attack with all three of them because you have 3 face-up Noble Knight monsters. This is quite a good lockdown, and you can even get balls out at one point in time and start searching. The other thing I'd like to note is, I'll talk about this more in depth later, but brothers can special summon both Black Lancelot and Hector, and if you use DNA Transplant, you can make them both lights and then go into Pleiades, but I'll talk about that in another video. I think this one's gone long enough. But again, there are several things you can do with decks like this that a lot of people haven't thought up or used much. This is something that is very rare to see me being using, but it is possible. It is something you can do. Anyway, till later. Hopefully I have my next video out tomorrow.